Blending colours wet in wet is the fastest way to create rounded form. I've come inside to paint some fruit so I can show you what I mean. I'm going to use Indian yellow and cadmium red to make this gorgeous bright orange of the orange. Using largest brush, shape the round shape with the light colour, and all I've got to leave out at this stage is the highlight, and I've got light from the right, so the highlight is on the right. And there's also highlight catching on the portion where there's an indentation in this rounded form from where the stem of the orange was attached to the tree. Get your shape round. It's quicker to just go straight in with the brush than to draw. You'll find that when you're painting something round like this, you can just drop the colour in from the shady side, keeping the light around the side where the light is catching, and then just increase the intensity of the colour in your brush, as we saw with the wet in wet technique. Stronger and stronger colour until you feel you've got to the right strength, and bring it in always from the darkest side. It will do the blending, you don't have to, you just add it from the darkest side. We could go on and get it darker and darker and darker just by putting more neat colour onto this side. You see, it's doing all the running. I haven't had to do anything. The colour itself will do the blending. And then we can just indicate the indentation where the stem was attached with a little bit of neat colour. I'm using a bit of Prussian blue just to create that darkness in there. And then you have your orange all created by the colour blending on its own. And then we can use the dry brush technique to stroke the colour across to catch the texture on the highlight. Let's put this into practice with a bowl of peaches. I'm going to use a combination of Indian yellow, permanent rose and Prussian blue. A lot of the secret of painting quickly is choosing a combination of colours that works and is very limited in number. So 3 colours, red, yellow and blue, as we know, pertains all the colours that you want. So they're a perfect combination, and I'm going to use Indian yellow, permanent rose and Prussian blue to create this lovely little group of peaches. And the irony is that in that, where we were yesterday, the castle, was the place that King John apparently died of poisoning by a surfeit of peaches. So it's kind of quite ironic that we should be painting these today. Apparently they were poisoned, so let's hope these aren't. So again, we're using the yellow as a light tint in which to build on. So the secret of painting fast is to create your composition as quickly as possible with the brush, largest brush as possible, so you have something to work into and build your colours up. And it's usually quicker to paint without drawing first, because if you include the time of drawing, you end up probably going way over your 10 minutes if that's all the time you've got. Now I'm using the Indian yellow much more intensely to build up the rounded form of the peaches. Coming in with the permanent rose, and we need to have that, I was going to say stiffer colour, but you know what I mean drier colour, so that I can create the rounded form of the one in front with the darker tone of the one behind. And this comes to the edge of the rim of the bowl. It's lovely, this pattern of pink and yellow. And you can already see the peaches are shaping up just by simply getting darker in tone. And now let's bring in the Prussian blue to really catch the darks. I'm going to go quite dark quite quickly here, just to really catch the dark under here and that shadow cast by that peach there. And you see the blue over the yellow starts to catch the green of the pot. Maybe it's a little bit strong, taking it off green, isn't it? Prussian blue is a really strong colour, but because it's so nice and strong, it is quick to paint. Keep it lighter on the light side, take its shadow across the table. Getting a nice shadow on the table, which actually I think we'll pick up a little bit of both the pink and the yellow for that. The rounded shadows, not a strong light, neat Prussian blue where it hits the table, and then the darkness of the bowl brings out the shape of the peaches on the left-hand side. Not too strong in the peaches themselves because we don't want to turn them to blue, but they are quite mauvey on their shadowy side, aren't they? And now we're being more specific with our form. Clean the brush off and get the nice green out of these two colours mixed together, because it's quite a bright green, that bowl, isn't it? Careful, the palette starts to get quite muddy. When you're painting at speed, you can't be too neat and tidy on your palette. So I take the colour off my brush and I go to little small areas, find little spaces that I've got left. This is quite dark actually. The underside of this peach is actually quite dark here. The beauty of wet in wet is that so long as you're using slightly denser colour, you can keep going into it while it's wet without disturbing the wash on top. Now we've got to come down here because this corner where the three of them meet is quite a nice compositional corner. And this one is darker than the one behind, this one in front. And each time if we go in with a neat colour, we can create the little... You'll notice as the colours blend, they go paler, don't they? So you sometimes have to go back into something you've already painted. You might think you've finished it, but you have to go back and look again. And when you're working at speed, often you forget to go back to places where you've been before because you think, oh, that's finished. But so you've got to be casting your eye over the whole composition all the time. And we can actually even give ourselves a little bit of background here. Colour of the table and bring out the highlight on the top of the bowl. Careful not to pick up another colour, but only on the lit side. And then the dark side can have just a bit more tone. So we can feel the three-dimensional shape of the bowl, and we can use nice dry colour to come in behind the back of these peaches here to shape them in the bowl. Every time you increase your darkness, check that you're also keeping the tone in the whole composition working together. You'll find, don't worry about where colours run in one to the other, because you can come back again, strengthen the tone. Just need a bit more peachy colour here. If you go into a wet wash with your colour not strong enough, you will disturb the wash. So it's really important, if you by mistake do that, see I've just gone in here and I've disturbed the wash. So you need to pick up some more dense colour and drop it in to overcome the area where you put water rather than pigment in. I'm glad actually that happened, so I could show you that, because that's so crucial to painting wet in wet, that you must always be using denser and denser colour, otherwise you disturb the wash underneath. But you can overcome it again by re-putting in a stronger wash. I mean, you could even tint that with a tiny bit of the permanent rose, but again, it must be drier than the colour you've put in. It's really important. So long as it's stronger, you'll be fine. That's time up, but look, you can create a simple still life in just 10 minutes. And if I'm really short of time, I just paint from the car. The steering wheel makes a great easel. I like this view at the end of the road. I haven't got much time to do this because we've finished, so I've got to work from the car.